everybody. Welcome to the 24th episode of YLC Chats. We have another special guest today, Michelle Rubin from Boca Raton, Florida. So we're going to hear from her today. Ryan, if you want to get started and ask the first couple of questions.
The first question for you, can you tell us a bit about yourself and what you do?
Sure. Thank you for having me. I'm a big fan of all the Best Buddies programs. So it's a thrill for me to be here with all of you today. I started a nonprofit 10 years ago, Autism After 21. And I think it came about because my oldest son, I have 3 sons, is on the autism spectrum and has intellectual disability. And he was leaving high school, and I was like all parents going through this angst about what was he going to do? And, he's not a candidate to be able to go to college or like a VOTEC school, but he really wanted more. And the more I looked around, there just wasn't more out there as far as programs for him to engage in and prepare him to work and give him a chance to mature. And, like my typical sons, they went through college and had those years of maturity before they had to enter the workforce. So at the urging of family and friends, I formed this nonprofit, Autism After 21. And out of that, the SOAR program was born, which is our summer opportunity for adult readiness. And it is a residential program on a college campus where we have young adults come that are in those transition years and help them, start figuring out how they're going to make this work.
What inspired you to create Autism After 21?
Of course, it was my experience with my oldest son, Scott, when he was leaving high school. Now that I've had a decade of perspective on what was going on in my mind 10 years ago, I really found that transition period probably as stressful, if not more stressful, than when he was 2 years old and he was diagnosed with autism. There was just such a feeling of ending about what was going to be available for him. And a lot of students like my son, who were diagnosed as, moderate to severely autistic, leave school with really low expectations about what's going to be available for them and what kind of life they're going to be able to have. And to me, it was just not acceptable. I knew he was capable of more. I knew he wanted more. His 2 brothers were great role models for him. Ryan knows Andrew and Matt also. And I could see that he wanted to do more. And he has, some significant deficits with his autism. He didn't speak till he was 14 years old. But now he is doing things that I never dreamt he would do.
What does Autism After 21 do?
We really focus on those transition years that I mentioned, where when young adults are leaving their school system, or whether they've been homeschooled, whether they've been in an autism inclusive program of some sort, all of those programs come to an end at a certain age. So we're there and we want to try to prepare people for what comes next. So SOAR, our really premier program that we focus on during the summer months, focuses on all those pre-employment skills, how to use transferable social skills in the workplace. Like, we all know that work and school worlds are really different, but most of these young adults don't. They've never experienced work while they were in high school, like maybe some of their typical peers did. So it can be difficult to figure out how to find those natural supports in a workplace and how to make it work, and how to translate your social skills to a workplace, how to be a team member, how to be tolerant of other people you work with. You might sit next to that guy that makes like an annoying noise all day, whatever it is. What if your boss asks you to do something that maybe wasn't on your job description? What if they want to change your schedule? Teaching our students how to self-advocate is probably one of the most important things we do, and teach them about how to ask for accommodations. Are you comfortable disclosing that you have autism? Autism can be such a hidden disability that sometimes people just think they don't know what to think, but they might not want to hire you because they don't realize that maybe you have a disability. So what are strategies to disclose that you have a disability? And when do you do that? When are you comfortable doing that? And then, of course, big part of the fun of coming to live on a college campus is experiencing that independence away from home. A lot of kids come for the first time, never been away from mom and dad before. So it's kind of like landing on Mars for them and for the parents. Students and parents arrive nervous. We've never sent anybody home because they were homesick and couldn't make it through the 2 weeks. They end up in about 48 hours transitioning into like different human beings. It's amazing to watch how once they get comfortable and they're with a peer group of their own, how they can start making decisions on their own and really embracing, what we're trying to offer. So I try to convey that to their parents, in a way so that when they leave us, I always say I can't change the world in 12 days, but I'm implanting those ideas. And it's made a difference for a lot of our students over the years. We've been running the program for 6 years. This will be our 7th summer. We typically see 100 or 120 students in about 8 weeks. So we are busy, but it's productive busy. So the time flies by.
My first question for you is, what is your favorite thing about Autism After 21?
Just opening people's minds to what the possibilities are. And when you have a student come in that's never been away from home before, they don't have a lot of friends, they have no idea how they're going to spend their adult years, they're just kind of lost a little bit, and their parents are struggling as well. And get them excited about something and show them how their abilities and their interests can align into a wonderful career for them. They get excited about it, and we show them how this is possible and how they're going to be able to do it. And we offer lots of support after they leave our program to help them stay on track. We had a documentary filmmaker follow us around a couple years ago, and he made about a 30-minute video about SOAR where he profiled some families and talked to me a lot, and he did a piece on my son Scott. And one of the biggest questions I always get is, how did he get so independent, and how did I let him become so independent? From a parent's perspective, it's very frightening to think about your child with a disability out in the big world. I know the community always focuses on, there's not a lot of there's some mean people out there. But I just knew that for him, it was the right thing to do to allow him to leave home on his bike. He goes over to a pretty busy road by us, Military Trail, and gets on a bus. He's learned how to cross that street safely a decade ago. When he's gotten in trouble or had problems out in the community, there was always someone that stepped in and helped him. And it is a big leap of faith for parents to be willing to let their young adults do this, but I feel like it is so important and so needed for that young person to feel like they're capable is really what changes their life.
What are some of your future goals for your organization?
We are working really hard to spread our SOAR program to some other university campuses, not only around the state of Florida, but outside of the state of Florida. We have interest from several other states right now where I'm working with people that by the summer of 2022, that maybe we will see SOAR outside of Florida. Like a lot of people in the entire world, COVID and the pandemic screwed up my plans by a good year plus. But we are back on track now and working on our expansion. The interest is there. I know the need is there. I mean, these young students that are in school systems all over the country are growing up. And as a parent, I always felt like that day would never come for Scott, but of course it did. And it was terrifying for me. So part of my coping skills, I guess, was starting Autism After 21. And I think my family and my friends got tired of me complaining about what I saw as a lack of opportunity out there, and that I should just do something about it, which led to where we're at now. And it's hard to believe that the organization is 10 years old. We've branched into some more year-round services where we're not just a summer program anymore, with on-the-job training and peer mentoring programs. We do classes during school breaks about self-advocacy and job readiness and all of those things. But really, the SOAR program is the one that makes a difference for us and for our students.
What are some changes you would like to see regarding our country in terms of inclusion for people with disabilities?
I feel like people with disabilities are one of the last populations in our country where people still openly discriminate against them, even though we have laws and federal laws, to supposedly safeguard against that behavior. It definitely still goes on. I've spent a lot of time this year, and I'm expanding into this more this year, and trying to educate our business community, family-owned businesses. I know the large, huge companies get a lot of publicity about their diversity hiring and their programs, of people to work. But for people like Scott, who aren't college graduates and don't have vocational training, what kind of jobs are out there? And a lot of them are in family-owned businesses. And getting to know those family-owned businesses in your community, answering their questions, taking away the fear of having a person with IDD or on the autism spectrum in your workplace. What does that mean? What kind of support can they have? Most people I approach have big hearts, and they want to help and they want to do it. But it's just getting over kind of that speed bump about the fear of, is this going to be a problem? Is it going to hurt my business? Is it going to cost me money? Are the things that people need to be educated about.
What should people do if they want to help make their communities more inclusive, specifically for adults with disabilities?
I think that kind of educational piece that I talked about a few minutes ago, we hear a lot about our children with autism, and you see them on the news and you see programs. And I experienced this when Scott was young, where there was nothing for people on the spectrum. And all of a sudden, those services started to arrive in communities. They arrived in schools. People were more educated. When I was out in public, they would recognize that maybe he had autism, where during his early years, people did not. They just thought he was a bad kid and I was a horrible mother. So things have changed, and I see that same kind of renaissance coming to affect our young adults now, where all of those children are growing up, they're aging out of school, and communities are going to have to embrace adults as well as they did all of these children. And I see those changes coming.
Yeah, definitely. That's all really amazing. And I'm really glad we got to have you here and hear everything you had to say. We'll definitely link Autism After 21's website in the description below so people can go and learn more about it, because it sounds like a really amazing organization. But this has been the 24th episode of YLC Chats. So thank you everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye everyone.
Thank you.